The table is set. We have our Stanley Cup Final playoff setup between the Edmonton Oilers, the team represented the slightest ginger man named Connor McDavid, who won it for Canada in the Four Nations face-off and bringing home that glorious cup to what is not the 51st state, and the team that represents the swamplands of America looking for its second cup in 2 years, back-to-back, baby. The Florida Panthers, helmed by the great Tkachuk and Barkov and Verhaeghe and Forsling and Bobrovsky and Ekblad. And, of course, on the other side, we have McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Hyman, who will not be playing, so never mind, and Stuart Skinner. Of course, it is a rematch between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, and we're going to talk all about it. So welcome back to the O Hockey Show, and today we are going to be talking about the Stanley Cup Finals and its glorious rematch we've got in store for us, because it truly is best on best hockey. I know a lot of people have said the last couple of rounds have been pretty boring, and I disagree, but I kind of see, like, this has definitely been a lower Stanley Cup playoffs that I can remember, but this finals I think is going to be worth the whole wait. This gambit, 6th year in a row a Florida team's in the final, 3rd year in a row the Florida Panthers make it in there to make history, and the Edmonton Oilers, the team representing Canada, looking for a cup for the first time in multiple decades. It's going to be a good one. So let's talk all about it. So first of all, both of these teams clearly have all that it takes to win the Stanley Cup. If they were playing almost any other team, I think, no, not almost, any other team, it is a landslide victory, I think, for either of them. If somehow the Panthers lost in round 1 to Tampa Bay, and they are playing the Hurricanes, they are playing the Maple Leafs, they are playing the whoever, it is a landslide for the Oilers. And if the Oilers got knocked out by the Kings in the first round, they didn't make that glorious comeback they did, and the Panthers are playing the Stars, they're playing Vegas, they're playing any one of those other teams, they are screwed. It is the Florida Panthers all day, but it is truly the Kings of Kings colliding in this one. They have it all. They've got God on their side. And of course, that's goaltending, offense, and defense, but things are shaky for both teams, but both are just glorious as well. So, first up, the Edmonton Oilers, of course, what do they bring to the table? They are bringing a team with the most impressive display of offensive talent I've ever seen in my entire life. This team has McDavid, of course, I think the most skilled player of all time. Not the best player of all time. Not the most well-rounded, not the most important, not the best player of all time. But what I believe is at least the best player in the world right now, who I believe is the most skilled when it comes to offensive to put together. Sure, you can have your remarks, oh, McKinnon, he's a bruiser, he fights the net and stuff like that. Sure. You can say, oh, McDavid doesn't fight, he doesn't fight people, he doesn't have that side of his game. Maybe he's not the greatest two-way player in the world. Maybe you're right, but he has got all the skill in the world when it comes to producing offense. He is the deadliest guy on the face of the earth when it comes to skating down the ice with the puck and wanting to score a goal. He is the baddest man on earth. Then you've got Leon Draisaitl, the amazing German stud. They have so many offensive weapons. And of course, one big scare for the Edmonton Oilers is, of course, their previous 50-goal scorer in Zach Hyman will be out for this. And he was leading this team in hits. He had like 109 in 14 games. The guy was being a bruiserweight out there. And it showed. I mean, his game was super obvious. He brought another element that I wouldn't, like, it's always been part of his game. He's definitely been, a little bit physical, more of a guy. But his game, his presence is going to be duly missed, especially in a heavy-hitting series against the Florida Panthers. But right now, on one side, right, in the away corner, the Oilers, they bring the most impressive display of offense I've ever seen. Defense that is very well orchestrated, put together, right? They might not be the greatest at, like, singular, like, oh, look at that defensive core, it's brilliant. But with how they play together, that amazing checking style slows down every other team. They play in so many layers. They have, Chris Knobloch has put together a fantastic strategy for them to play as, and it works phenomenal, especially against all the teams that they played up against. And in net, Stuart Skinner, I'm the huge critic of Stuart Skinner. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I can admit that his most recent performances have been extremely impressive by him. And I believe I don't think he's going to fade away. I don't think he's immediately going to become the Stuart Skinner that is sent to the AHL. But I do have concerns about him. But we'll talk about him more after talk about Florida. Florida, what does this team bring to the table? Probably the most complete and well-organized team of depth, offense, defense, and goaltending I think I've ever seen across any of these Tampa Bay, well, that might not be necessarily true, but the way they've kept this team together, the way they play together, they're so gritty, but they're so offensive, they're so fast, yet so defensive, they do everything right. They do everything so well down. It's just all the pieces are put together perfectly into an amazing puzzle. They did it last year, and I feel like they have a good chance of doing it this year. And to me, it's just you have the most complete team, and then you have the best offensive team in the world that's got good defense and a goaltender that has been standing on his head recently, right? What wins? What wins in that scenario, right? And the question mark is what could fail? And for me, for the Cats, I think Bobrovsky has been a little bit of a scare. I believe Sergei Bobrovsky has been lights out multiple times, especially against Carolina, especially against especially against Tampa Bay, times against Toronto. But the thing that scares me a lot is when they played against Tampa Bay, when they played against Toronto, maybe not so much the Hurricanes, but he did allow a few really, really weak goals against himself. A lot of weak goals that just bled right through him that he should have had. And to me, it's him and then also the defense, right? And that Toronto series, right? Toronto is fully stacked with some amazing offensive players as well. Of course, the core four, really the core five now. And they've got a lot of upfront talent as well to score offensive production. And to me, they brought Florida to 7 games. Oilers are better than the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think they're better in every single category and more. And to me, that is scary to look forward to. But on the other side, the Oilers, let's not forget that Stuart Skinner is in fact their goaltender. Of course, Calvin Pickard is back in the lineup. He could jump in, but he's not going to at first, right? And they're going to start with Stu Skinner. And let us not forget that this is the same guy that has been sent to the AHL this season because they didn't like his play, right? Let's not forget those things. Let's not forget that he, in his first few starts, he was letting in below 800 or was it at least below 900 save percentages every single game. In the 3 losses that he's had have been extraordinary failures, right? So the Oilers are sketchy, right? And the Panthers are sketchy. But both of them have overcome all of those problems and have made it to this point. So really, I think who's going to be able to expose those flesh wounds the most? And I think right now, what I've been seeing from the Edmonton Oilers, the way they shut down the Dallas Stars, is that you had a team in the Dallas Stars that was not playing very physical, not playing very cutthroat, and was allowing themselves to be dominated by that checking style. The Florida Panthers played the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes are a team that love themselves, that they are the most hard-hitting, most physical, most dominating, control-the-puck, bully-you team in the league. And the Florida Panthers shrugged them off like they were a rhino and a chihuahua was like, bring it on. And it didn't matter to the Florida Panthers. So to me, we have seen these two teams show similar showcases that they are defensively. They love to check, slow down other teams, knock the puck out by playing super physical from the top end to the down end. And to me, the teams that are going to try to play because defense is going to come first, especially for both teams, right? Both teams are stacked extremely high with offensive talent. And so defense, I think, is going to be primarily what's going to try to come first to shut down the other team to allow scoring chances to keep coming. And I think right now, and looking at the past, the Florida Panthers are going to be able to shrug off that checking style of play. I mean, the checking way of the Oilers, you have Wallman and Klingberg, of course. Bouchard, who is definitely sketchy defensively still. Ekholm is definitely super fine, but you have a lot of guys in that lineup that are playing that super check down hockey that scare me because I think the Florida Panthers with Tkachuk, with Barkov, with Bennett are going to shrug those things off. And I think unlike when the Dallas Stars had their chances to score in games like in Game 5, especially in Game 1 when they got that big third period, they had those chances to finally score and they got through that defensive layer of the Edmonton Oilers. They pounded the net. They really did. They did get their goals on net when they needed them. And to me, the Stars were horrifyingly bad at trying to get through the defense of the Oilers. The Panthers, though, I think have that style in them to just shrug them off just enough to give them those chances to showcase that Skinner is not that guy to win a Stanley Cup with. And to me, Bobrovsky, with his amazing... He lets in weak goals, but I don't think... when it comes to playing against the best on best, he makes incredible saves after incredible saves. He is the guy that is there to make that giant flying fucking save across the ice with a big catch in the glove, right? Sure, a couple might eke through him that are like, oh, that was a weak one. But he's always there for some really, really big saves. And to me, Skinner has made some big saves recently, but I think that's because the Oilers team in front of him was playing so great that he was able to clean up the mess, and he's a good enough goalie to do that job. But I think when he's really challenged and really pushed, I think Skinner will fall, and I think the Panthers are going to be able to get those goals more than the Oilers will be able to break through. But that is not to say I think this series is going to end early and that it's going to be a landslide at all for the Panthers. So for me right now, I believe... Now, I do have my skeptics because... I also think the Oilers, they played against a team in the Stars that clearly has been coached horribly and is not ready for a Stanley Cup. They played against the Kings, who let them come back from 3-0, which is impressive. And 3-0, was it? No, whatever. I believe the Oilers have not run into a truly dominating team enough to challenge them enough that I think the Panthers will. And for those reasons, I do believe that it is going to be... Okay, my marker is completely running out of juice. But I'm going to say this year, unlike last year, is going to be Cats in 6. I just think the Panthers are too good. This is the dynasty, and I think these glaring issues that everyone sees in Stuart Skinner in certain flaws, like having Darnell Nurse on your team still and Klingberg being a defenseman, a defensive defenseman on your team. Not defensive. You get what I'm saying. Being the core, I think are going to give them glaring issues where a team like the Panthers have seen their problems and slap them in the face out of the way and bring in guys to fix those wounds. I think Seth Jones playing in the biggest moment and biggest series of his life will be a huge defenseman like he has been all year. Forsling is great at shutdown play. Ekblad has been playing, I think, pretty good. I know he has his skeptics too, but I think he's been playing pretty good. But that on top of Kulikov, on top of the other names go down the list, I think we'll be able to stand tall. I think the depth of the Florida Panthers is good enough to shut down the depth of the Oilers. Not always score, but I think their top guys are clutch enough to get through the weeds and get those goals past Stuart Skinner when they need to. And for me, the Oilers are fantastic. They are easily the second best team in the NHL, but the Florida Panthers, this is their year. This is their year, and I think the Edmonton Oilers, they need, and especially without Hyman too in the top 6 now, and Nugent Hopkins just had his giant little stretch in the previous round. He's going to cool off a little bit. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they are due for a hard series, a really, really hard series against the Cats. And I think the Cats are going to be able to bounce them around. I think they're going to fight hard. And I just don't think they're going to be able to stand as tall. I just think, personally, the Cats are the best team in the NHL. I just don't think any team can really take them down. They are the best right now. And maybe that goes when Sam Bennett is gone. But I think he's going to keep reigning with his league high in goals right now. And he's going to keep marching on. And everyone else is going to come with him on the Cats team and lift up another Stanley Cup. So that is my prediction. So that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. You made it this far. Please, I am begging you to subscribe. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.